there. What is Wikinomics?
Well, Wikinomics, first of all, it's a neologism, okay? It's a term I invented to refer to the theory and practice of harnessing mass collaboration. And Wiki basically is some software that enables a number of people to co-edit a document on the internet. And the first big implementation of a wiki is, of course, Wikipedia.
Right.
And here you have an encyclopedia that's 12 times bigger than Britannica. It's owned by nobody. It's real time, so it's constantly up to date. It's in dozens of languages.
And developed in 5 years instead of 107.
Yeah, and it's developed by the many, but it's as good as the one developed by the Nobel Prize winners in quality, according to the only study that's been done. So the issue is, Wiki has now become, to me, a metaphor for something much bigger, where large numbers of people, because of the internet, can come together and collaborate to produce things, goods and services in society. And if you can create an encyclopedia that way, the issue's on the table. What else could you create? And it turns out just about anything. Well, I think we're changing the deep structure and architecture of the corporation. That talent is something that we think of as inside the boundaries of our companies. Your most precious asset goes out the elevator every night. Everybody's heard that expression. Well, now talent can be outside the boundaries of your company as well because of this global collaboration platform. So Procter & Gamble gets 50% of all of its innovation from what I call idea agoras. These are open markets for ideas, or markets for innovation, like the Innocentive network. And if it's looking for a molecule that'll take red wine off a shirt, it has 9,000 chemists inside and 1.5 million outside that it can now get to. And sure enough, there's a retired chemist in London or a grad student in Taipei comes up with a molecule, and Procter & Gamble pays them a couple £100,000 or dollars or whatever. And P&G is now an innovation engine. So this is changing the way we think about how to get capability. And as we describe in Wikinomics, there are these 7 new business models that we haven't really seen before that are emerging that enable companies to innovate better, to grow faster, and to compete more effectively.
Okay, I think that covers the innovation question. When it comes down to it, it's always about the bottom line. And one of the complaints that we've heard quite often, especially since the dot-com bust, is that you cannot make money on the internet.
Yeah.
So how are these new technologies and new ways of collaborating helping companies really to become more profitable?
Well, I think what we're finding is that you can't make money without the internet. You see, because companies that embrace these principles of Wikinomics based on the new web are tending to be the companies that are successful. Let me give you an example. There's a guy named Rob McEwen, who I know because he's my neighbor. And a few years ago, he took over a gold mining company called Goldcorp. And he was very frustrated because his geologist couldn't tell him where the gold was. And after a few years, he was ready to shut the company down. But he had a radical thought. He wondered, if my geologists don't know where the gold is, maybe somebody else does. So he took his intellectual property, his geological data, which is the biggest secret in the mining industry, and he published it. Held a contest on the internet called the Goldcorp Challenge, $500,000 for anybody who can tell me, do I have any gold, and if so, where is it? He gets submissions from all around the world. They use techniques that he's never heard of. And for his $500,000 in prize money, he finds $3.4 billion worth of gold. The value of his company goes from $90 million to $10 billion. And I can tell you, because he's my neighbor, you know, he's a happy camper. This is how you make money in every industry, not just dot-coms, but in something as far away from the internet as gold mining. So he adopted these principles of Wikinomics. He viewed human capital as being not just inside, but outside his boundaries. He peered. You know, some of the best submissions didn't come from geologists. They came from mathematicians and computer scientists. He was open. He stood up before the world and he said, I'm the CEO of this gold mining company, and I don't know if we have any gold, but we're going to find out. And he didn't think global and act local. He acted globally. He viewed the world as his geology department, and he increased the value of his company by an order of magnitude. Let's try and understand this generation. Why don't we give them a name? Okay, let's name the generation. What do you want to call them? Well, some people have called them the millennials. But the fact that the year 2000 came and went, that didn't really affect them. Others have called them Gen Y. But I don't know, calling them Gen Y is a follow-on to the puny little Generation X. That doesn't seem fair to me. To me, if you look at the big thing that's changed over the last 10 and 15 years for these kids, this is the net generation. This is the first generation to be bathed in bits. Computers, the internet, interactive technologies are part of the experience of youth. And time online is not taken away from hanging out with your friends, learning the piano, talking to your parents, or doing your homework. Time online is taken away from television. The baby boomers watch, in the United States, 24 hours a week of TV. These kids watch less TV, and they watch it differently. They come home and they turn on their computer, and they're in 3 different windows talking on the phone or texting, and they're also listening to an MP3 file with 3 magazines open and a video game going on the side. Oh yeah, they're doing their homework at the same time. And the TV may be going on like music in the background as ambient, information or entertainment. But what's happening here? Rather than being the passive recipients of someone else's broadcast video, what are they doing when they're online? They're reading and searching for stuff and organizing information and authenticating and collaborating and telling their stories, and even with video games, developing strategies. This is creating a generation whose brains are different. They process information differently. That's what the brain scientists that we work with tell us. Furthermore, this is the first time in human history when children are an authority about something really important. When I was 11, I was an authority on model trains. Today, the 11-year-old at the breakfast table is an authority on this big revolution that's changing business, commerce, government, learning, publishing, every institution in society. The music industry is the poster child for how to do everything wrong. And here they were given a wonderful new distribution channel, the internet, a new way of reaching out to customers. But they needed to reinvent their whole value proposition and their business model. And they failed to do that, and as a result, they're suing children. So there was a new model there that they could have embraced, and arguably it's not even too late to do that, but I don't see any evidence that they will. People can now participate more fully in the economy and in the creation of content and media and in telling stories that engage them. French pilot from the Second World War, his name was Saint-Exupéry, he said, "We should welcome the future, for soon it will be the past. But we should respect the past, for it was once all that was humanly possible." We created this wonderful thing called the movie, and there's nothing like it. But it's now possible to create something complementary. And another Frenchman, Victor Hugo, said, "There's nothing so powerful as an idea whose time has come." I think the time has come for Cinema 2.0, and hopefully the time has come for you to find that leader within you to help bring about a new paradigm.